through British rock and roll. So, essentially, uh, for me, this described the nature into which I was trying to get to variables of 9/11 informatively through getting people to grasp how, where, and why it is possible a sort of jail-bitten action, as the French do with the British, baiting the Brits, is and could be very relevant in the anticipith of how and why 9/11 essentially took place, taking some sort of slight circumstantial blame off of my national guilt for the War on Terror, which naturally was described as a bad idea very much earlier by the Parliament in England. Anyways, what I overlooked was this might not be perceived properly by individuals who were judging why my brother was advertising a not porn site, but picture site of, you know, younger women, which wasn't illegal because there was no nudity. Just so you know, I, as a scientist, could do a statistic on how many relationships and romanticisms and sexual encounters there are between lower level college men and higher level high school women, based upon the interest of a woman to implore the interest of a older male, which is common throughout, eventually once you get to high school. If and then therefore you think you have any right to implore a sort of moral inquisition unto which you live in a world where Woody Allen is marrying his 18-year-old daughter and breaking up with his wife, billionaires are marrying young people. Howard Hughes is secretly going after women who have gone through the Sweet 16, a very developed but young individual, for sexual encounters, not to mention how many high school kids go to college parties, which I personally did all the time. I am prepared to humiliate your country. And on top of that, I am prepared to share all the classified documents that I thought could be inquisitively utilized to render me a terrorist or a traitor for having had read looking for free music. You know, I'm very concerned with dealing with Baltimore jails, let alone Guantanamo Bay. And after realizing my friend could have been blackmailed by the FBI, and at one point in time becoming so crazed by trying to call a sex line at the age of, I think it was like 8 years old, where I purchased my first Playboy off my friend who stole it from his uncle and got in trouble and suspelled for about 3 days. Thinking to myself how the FBI or the police could be tracking my calls from a payphone at the 7-Eleven to inquisite on something I was not of appropriate age to indulge upon. I am just trying to point out to you, seeing the FBI having done that to my friend left me in a variable of concern unto which I had done nothing really that wrong. And how and where and why I was innocent, and thus and therefore what I read and saw and knew you were all doing at a very innocent age was not. And if you continue to variably vindicate some sort of, I don't know, ironic, Hippocratic variable into which you think this is okay, to incite a permanency to evil in myself, my brother, or anything other than you trying to get around how insanely sick I'm proving your world is, how insanely well I could expose it. That's beyond me. Also, my December was based off of lyrics my first girlfriend, Kara Pierce, very disturbed but sweet and sexy, biggest ass, Iggy Azalea, ass size, wrote to a poetry place to get into a position to get an award in a small financial thing. Also, my friend Ashley, given a variable into which she was offered a beat from her person and somehow turned into a Rick Ross song. How, where, and why Lincoln Park, you know, something unique to Howard County, the wealthiest, well to do political federal construct after the Civil War, the battle line of into which it ended, and the extraction of our unique artistic experiences and variables unto which, if not exposed, then therefore through God's internet, through a commonality, which I agree with, but actually were funneled into a high-end purchasing ring, which I'll have to discover whether or not Linkin Park purchased in part some of those lyrics from a mass production of how to circumstantially create a hit song, or vice versa with Ashley's beats. I am prepared to isolate a out-of-court class S lawsuit so massive um, that the entertainment industry will not survive. It will be like genocide on the entertainment industry's purchasing of lyrics. You will no longer allowed to represent anything into which you have not personally created. And on top of that, I will take and extract all of your social credit, all of your fanship, and everything you have ever possessed based on stealing individual experience for artistic purposes to profit and become a bunch of retarded, drug driven losers. Do you get what I'm saying? I'm not joking about either of those threats, which aren't actually threats because they're legally and morally rationalized through the variables into which you've created checks and balances in your society.